All right, welcome everybody to the latest edition of Absolute Pro Wrestling After the Bell, where we talk about all things APW, hashtag for the bird. Joining me as always tonight is the man behind the scenes, Jason Prentice, APW promoter, and one of our lead commentary guys, Badger Calhoun. How you guys been, fellas? Seems like it's been a while since I've seen you guys.
Doing all right, Clint. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a bit. Hopefully, we'll see you this weekend.
You
And we got a lot to talk about, don't we?
Yes, we do. A lot of ongoing stuff within APW. Mr. Prentice, how are you doing, sir?
There's not a lot going on. There's only like a smidge,
Hey, don't be modest. Don't be modest.
Listen, I feel like, and we had a whole month off in April, but I feel like this has been the busiest we have been as a company in our history, and it's fun, it's enjoyable, and especially we're in a position right now. We're getting ready for Des Moines here in just a few days. This should release by Thursday of this week, so just 2 days out from now. But I'm excited about it. I get to talk wrestling with two people I consider to be my friends, and
Yes.
enjoy a nice zero sugar Pepsi on the ride here.
There you go. But before we get into
That's all you need.
all the recent ongoings of APW, we got to address something. You can now call Absolute Pro Wrestling an award-winning wrestling promotion.
Yes.
Give us a little bragging about that information there.
Woo! We did it, boys. We did it.
Man, I'm humble. I'm a humble man. All right. I love me some humble pie. I do. And I hope that some boys have eaten some of that humble pie because it feels good to be an award-winning professional wrestling entity in the city of Waterloo, in the Cedar Valley community votes. It was awesome. We got nominated. We had the chance to nominate ourselves and then have other people nominate us on top of that, and then to be, the platinum winner, platinum vote, and to earn best entertainment and best live entertainment at that as well. 2 awards. It's awesome, and we will definitely be bragging about it for the foreseeable future. And whoever does it next, if it's not us, if it's somebody else that gets that honor, that's hey, we did it. Nobody can take that away from us. And if another wrestling entity does it, oh great, we did it first, just like Ray J said. So for me, it's an awesome thing, and it just goes down to the effort from our performers and to the athletes, to their families, and the commitment being on the road, to my family being on the road constantly and dealing with this stuff, to my mother who deals with a lot of shit that she may not want to deal with or have to deal with, but I have her do it anyways because she loves me and it's whatever.
She's something, ain't she?
To her credit, and just the help she gets from, Badger's lovely lady Jackie and Haley, to my cousin who's more like my sister Kayla, to Pork Chop Christian, he, busts his ass with the setup, to everybody behind the scenes who puts their time and effort to this, and of course to the fans. Like, none of this happens without them. So for us to win these 2 awards, it's awesome. I got goosebumps, but it's only because, we get this award and people are like, man, that last Waterloo show was really good. But I feel like with what is about to come up as far as matches, as far as talent, the best is only yet to come. So, I think we're gonna be in line for 2026 for us to be in the same position and be voted and continue on as the best live entertainment in Waterloo.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. That one you posted that was cool to see that APW got awarded that big time award and everything in Waterloo. Bringing us back to last time in Waterloo, Super Slam 3. Badger, you were there, correct?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't there. A conflict of schedules, not any on fault of my own.
We'll see you at the next one.
Yes, I'll be at the next one for sure. Badger, what's your top 3 thoughts coming out of Super Slam 3?
Top 3 thoughts. Well, we crowned 2 new champions. So, I mean, nothing's better than that. The 319 essentially ended the free world, or I guess you could say they ended themselves. After it. For those of you ladies and gentlemen that missed that, we'll give you a recap of what happened. But let's just say Maddie Starr wasn't doing too good at the end of that show.
Right. Yeah.
And we crowned a new world heavyweight champion in the Shank, baby.
Right. How cool,
Yes.
how knowing your relationship with Shank, and Jason, we'll get your thoughts on it here in a second. Seeing him win it in Waterloo that way, what was kind of going through your mind when he finally got the win in the match with Aaron Von Baron?
From start to finish, I was even telling Tom before the match, I'm going to keep this as professional as I can. I'm going to leave all my biases out of it. And maybe 5 minutes into the match, that all flipped because I was cheering for my boy. He and I came into the doors together, literally day one together. Him, me, Ethan Everhart, we all started together. And we've been on this roller coaster together. And to see those two achieve the things that they have has just made me so proud. So proud to be a part of that class. So proud to even be just a minuscule part of it.
Mhm.
I'm so proud of both of them. I'm shaking right now. You could probably see my phone just shaking because I'm so excited for these guys, and I'm excited for Absolute Pro Wrestling because 2025 has been our peak year. I would say it's been our peak year, and you can argue that, but I'll die on this hill. And Badger Calhoun came back to commentary. Badger Calhoun got his first ring announcing. We crowned new tag champions. We crowned a new openweight champion. We crowned a new heavyweight champion. We got voted the best entertainment in Waterloo of all places. And we got a badass sold out show coming this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, could it get any better? I don't know. But I mean, holy crap. This is as good as it gets right now.
Right. Yeah, it's been a good run for sure. Jason, Shank winning the championship, what did that mean to you on a professional and a personal level?
I mean, it was one of those. It was very emotional. I actually sat in the crowd. I watched it. I was right next to Tyler. I was next to Tyler Jones.
You were
I was
sending me
sitting-
videos.
EJ,
You were
I
sending me
couldn't-
EJ.
videos. Thank you
Yeah,
for sending me videos.
I was sending Clint videos because I'm like, I wonder, because this is the thing too. I'm gonna put a little pressure on Clint Dye as I get us all up here. Shank said to me, he goes, the only thing that makes me pissed about this. I said, what's that? He goes, I may not make it on Clint Dye's top 26 of 2000 or 25 of 20. I may not make it on the list this year. And I said, he's got to make an exception. He's got to use the YouTube as like his I was there thing, I'm sure.
I can watch it.
It was one of those where, man, I like I said, I was sitting with Tyler Jones and his wife Liv, and I was emotional at the end for numerous reasons. I knew that Aaron and I talked prior to the match, and he said, "Hey, if I go out and I don't bring this back, I think it's over. And it's not because I can't do it, but it's because now he's the guy that can. Whoever takes this from me, they're gonna have to beat the shit out of me. They're gonna have to they're gonna have to break me." And then Shank breaks his foot. Shank breaks Aaron's foot. So it's like, he gave him a nice shiner across his face. He took Aaron to his limit, and it was one of the coolest matches. I would say that we have probably produced our top 3 matches ever in 2025. And I know Clint's one of them. Clint loves the TLC match. It's on the book, which, by the way, cheap plug for the book. You have these bad boys.
Yeah.
But that TLC match, I know Clint loves it. I know Badger loves it. I know Bryce
Yeah, buddy.
loves it. But for me, I think it's a still top 5 match, but I think that Alvin and TVP in January, but Matty and Jackson, and then I think Shank and Aaron, those 3 matches in 2025 have produced the best matches I think we've had in our company history. Now I think TLC maybe is a little better than Alvin in picture, but it's trending the same waves. And honestly, those matches, because you look at like TLC was phenomenal. I think the Cowboy Rules match, like Shank and I were having this conversation. I'm like, Cowboy Rules is really good, but really for me, it's like 1A, 1B, 1C, one
Right.
D, 1E. Like you could put any of those matches and say they're the greatest matches we've ever had. But Jackson and Maddie, phenomenal, and the crowd helps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you ask anyway, crowd environment helps. I think that was the case with Shank and Aaron. It was one of those where home field advantage to Shank. Aaron don't give a shit. Aaron's gonna go out and he's gonna be the Terminator. Comes out with some sick looking gear. I mean, he's been working on that project for a while now. My shout out to my cousin Carlina, Carlina Gray. She does custom gear now. She worked on my set of gear for the cage match against Cole Cannon, and then I was telling Aaron about her. That's the thing. People are like, "Man, how are you close with Aaron? He wants to kick the shit out of your friend." I'm like, I've known Aaron since I got in the business.
Yeah.
He was one of the first people I ever managed. First guy I ever managed on a show was James Jeffries. First guy where I'm like full time doing stuff was Aaron Von Baron and Ricky Love. And Aaron and I, we hit it off as friends right away when we got paired up in Impact Pro Wrestling. And so for me, I've always been very close with Aaron, even after him and I split up in 2012 towards the end of the year. He was doing his thing, I was doing mine, but we were still talking every weekend. We were still hanging out. We were still talking and just discussing the business, discussing life. When he broke his leg, I was one of the only people who ever went and saw him. He's in seclusion. He broke his leg. Nobody gives a shit about it because they're looking to take his spot. These wrestlers, they don't care because they're trying to get booked.
Right.
If I go see you on a weekend or a weekday, I'm losing my spot because I'm not working out. I'm not doing this. I'm not at the show. I didn't give a damn. I said Draven and Morbid Angel, they can handle it. I'm going to go see my guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to constantly check in on him, phone calls, FaceTime, everything, right? So he went through all these things. I went through things. When my grandmother died, he made a very, very nice contribution to my grandmother's funeral. This is all real. Our relationship is real.
Yeah.
And it always will be. And in a world where there's not a lot of real people sometimes, it feels like, that relationship, that brotherhood, that's real. That's why I called him when we did the Snow Club and we did all that stuff in Rugged. It's why he was the first call.
Yeah.
Hey, you're the guy. You're the leader. If there's anyone who can teach Badger Calhoun and anybody who can teach Shank and anybody who can teach Cole Cannon, anybody else that we work with, what this business is supposed to be, it's you.
It's that guy.
So for me,
that guy.
And Clint knows this, Badger knows this, long story long is my thing. When it comes to Aaron, I was a very emotional, wreck, it felt like, because my best friend just won the biggest match of his life.
Right.
And my other best friend, his career's over.
Yeah.
And I knew it.
Yeah.
Nobody else knew it. Aaron didn't tell anybody else. Didn't tell his wife. Didn't tell his family and friends. It just, we did our thing. And what you won't notice, if you watch back, you catch a glimpse, but you may not see it entirely. Everybody gets in the ring. Death Dealer, Bryce Jordan, Ugly, Ethan, Jay, all those guys. They get in the ring and they celebrate with Shank. I actually walk to the back with Aaron. He requested. He's like, "Hey man, I walked in with you. I want to walk out with you." Okay.
Nice.
If that's how it goes, I got you. And and people will say, "Well, do you think he knew? Do you think he knew this was going to be it?" I don't think he knew, but I think he valued Shank enough as a competitor because he wanted him to get that side of him out. He begged him. He begged him for months. That's what this all comes down to. He didn't believe in Shank, and he wanted Shank to believe in himself. And I think that when Shank was in that ring, when Shank was staring him eye to eye, Aaron said, "You know what? It's gonna be a brawl. Ain't the brawl at the hall, but it's the brawl in the loo, baby." And it was what it was. And I'm very proud of Shank. I think Shank's going to be a fantastic champion.
Shank is now the 4th APW champion. But obviously, when you're the champion, contenders emerge from, unique places. And the night of Super Slam, there was a scramble match where the winner was going to earn a future championship. I know Jason kind of goes up your crawl a little bit. And I can see Badger kind of rolling his eyes because you know where I'm going with this. But Cole Cannon emerging out of the scramble match. Tell me a little bit about that, Badger.
By the skin of his freaking teeth, right? No, I was calling the match that night with Tom Chilstrom, and I was looking forward to that match all the way through because we had some really big, heavy hitters from this year. And all 5 of them, even Cole Cannon, as much as I, even Cole Cannon, but just the lowest common denominator way to eke out a win with getting your ass kicked, your ass handed to you the entire match. I don't think he landed a single hit. I don't think he landed a single punch, an arm wringer, a headlock, a hammerlock, a leg lock, nothing except for a schoolboy roll up. And now he gets a shot at the shank.
Yep.
And he almost had a shot at Aaron Von Baron when he tried to eke out a win at the Winter Brawl Classic, which that didn't work out, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just his style this year. He's eking out wins. He eked his way back into Absolute Pro Wrestling after we sent his ass home. I don't know how that happened. He's got lawyers somewhere.
But to that point, I mean, you kind of have to admire the moxie and
don't do it, Clint.
Just saying.
Clint. Listen,
he's finding a way to keep.
He's going to do it. He's going to do it, Jason.
He's finding a way to keep himself center point within the ongoings of APW. You have to give him credit for that.
All I will say is that somehow, some way, he has survived through everything. Mm-hmm. He got his contract back because, as Badger said, he slithered his way through the door. There was an opening, and he got back. And then he barely escapes the cage with a little help from some friends. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He loses the Winter Brawl, and I thought maybe that would be a life-changing moment for him, right? Maybe that would be a life-changing, life-altering, career-altering happening, because maybe he sees, hey, I'm not quite there, right? I'm not quite at the top, but I'm almost there. But maybe if I do things differently, and then he kicks Bryce right in the Golden Jewels and steals a win in March, and then he's just doing what Cole Cannon does best. As Badger said, he eats on by taking shots at people in the crowd, taking shots at people in the ring. And this weekend, it don't matter what kind of shots he wants to take. There's a guy who's going to fire back at him.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to talk more about our broadcast partner, Ricky Bronson, because I know he's not here tonight to talk about things, but he's definitely ready to go to war with Cole Cannon in front of his mother and his all of his friends, all his hometown people.
Woo!
Come Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready to go.
So, yeah, that was big news coming out of that. Badger, you also mentioned the crowning of the tag team champions in the 319, taking the titles.
Yes, sir.
The world. We all know how good Ethan and Jay are together, so we're going to kind of focus a little bit on the aftermath afterwards. The big picture.
Oh boy.
Of Santel basically putting down Maddie Starr for failing. So, what were your thoughts on that, fellas?
My thoughts, my prayers, everything goes out to Maddie Starr, to his health, to his neck. For those of you, ladies and gentlemen, that didn't catch it at the Super Slam show, the Free World did not pick up the victory. They lost the tag team titles to the 319. And, I didn't know what to expect after that. They've been so much about trimming the fat, getting rid of weakness. They're constantly telling everybody that doesn't even ask and will ask, they're fine. Everything's fine. And, even throughout the whole match, Tom Chilstrom was telling me they're fine. They're fine. Don't worry about it. They're not disintegrating, whatever, Badger. Shut up, Badger. But like the whole time, I can't deny what I'm seeing in front of me. I can't, my powers of observation are not off. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this job. But to see what we all witnessed after, just the mauling of somebody like Maddie Starr, and I've had plenty of things to say about Maddie Starr. Mm-hmm. I'm not one of his biggest fans, but I also can't deny the decades of experience, the respect, somebody that can teach you so much about this business. And all you got to do is just go up and ask him. You know, he's not somebody that you just don't get along with.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't understand how the big picture and Leo Santel could just take it to Matty Starr and just maul him like that in front of the Waterloo crowd.
Yeah.
And it was a mauling. I mean, it was 2 belly to belly suplexes, 2 F5s, and a tombstone pile driver. And it took damn near every referee, Tom Shilstrom, Jason Prentice, to get him out of that ring because he was not moving.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jason?
we don't know what kind of permanent damage he'll have.
Mm-hmm.
And again, teaching the next generation, I don't know how he'll be able to do that for our absolute apex, teaching the next generation. Or even if, I guess we're going to call them the big picture experience, guest starring Leo Santel, if they're going to show up to the absolute apex and mess with these kids, you know, just still trying to get that dig into Matty Starr.
Right.
You know, I don't know what to expect, and I wish I could, but they won't tell me anything. So it makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not like you mentioned, they may show up at the Apex, but also, I mean, that's a perfect segue into coming this Saturday. Big picture and are both going to be there. Jason, what are you kind of expecting from them Saturday when we get to the Brawl at the Hall?
Well, I know that originally the big picture experience was set to be in action. Originally, it was going to be Maddie and the big picture defending the APW Tag Team Championships if they were champions against a team that was to be announced. But obviously, we saw 319 changed some of that, and then TBP and Leo, they changed the rest of it. I really don't know what to expect. I know that they'll be there. They have some words that they want to apparently get off their chest. I know that the status of Matty Starr, as you'll see on our social media, listen. We blur the lines sometimes, right? We like to talk about what's happening outside of this world and inside of this world. Everybody knows about the Apex starting. Everybody knows about us training the next generation of stars, and I guess pun intended there. But it's one of those things where I saw Maddie kind of promoting it a little bit here over the last week, but I also know that those were pre-made statuses, and the people I've talked with that are close to him, they haven't heard from him since May 17th. And I haven't heard, all I know is he was taken to a medical facility, had his neck checked out. Severe bruising is what got rumored and floated around, but nothing broken off the tombstone. You got to realize it wasn't just a tombstone; it's an F5. Two F5s, 2 belly to bellies. He got thrown around like a rag doll and then dropped on his head. I mean, he could have been permanently put out of action, and then there's no head coach. We got to look for a head. Like, I know we've talked about the open house, which I'm sure we'll talk about here towards the end of the show, but I don't even know if he's going to make those. Again, these posts that are out there from him, those were set to go based off agreements with all of us weeks ago. But
yeah,
I don't know if he'll be there. I have no idea. I hope he is. I hope to hear from him. I hope to talk with him about his future. I hope to talk with him about the Apex. I hope to talk with him about life, because I think this is, unfortunately, I think this whole scenario is a good life lesson for him too. I think this is a reality check for Matty Starr. You look at what he's done in APW. He hires Lars Metzger to help him, obtain the APW championship. He goes on to form the free world with Jackson King and Leo Santel. Then those guys say, "Hey, we need more guys. We need one more big ass threat that no one's gonna mess with." And here comes the big picture. So for Maddie, he's got to learn who to trust because Lars did. He was like, hey man, I'm gonna take care of business elsewhere, and then he got hurt, so he couldn't rely on that callback.
Right.
And then they
Yeah.
dumped Jackson because he lost, and then they dump him on his head. So for Matty, I think this is a very big life lesson, a very big reality check, and I think that he's probably going through it. Listen, I've known Matty for quite some time, and Clint has seen when him and I have worked together.
Mm-hmm.
And when him and I work together, it is beauty. It is a thing of beauty because his mind and my mind, man, it's dangerous when you put us together in a room. When you put us together on a team, when we work together, it's awesome. When he's super kicking my face, it's not so awesome.
It's awesome.
I felt it.
Right.
It's not awesome. It sucks. I think that this is a super kick of its own, and it's kind of a super kick to his ego.
Yeah.
I don't think he thought this was going to happen. It happened, and now here we are.
Well, like you said, no matter what he does, that beatdown did seem a little much, but they have said from the beginning that failure wasn't an option. And ever since when Big Picture joined, it just kind of, you can always feel a little shift in the dynamic of the group. So it'll be interesting to hear what they say. Jason, I'm glad you mentioned Jackson King. He's obviously going to have an ear out to when those gentlemen are addressing his hometown Des Moines crowd Saturday night. I haven't seen Jackson since the last Brawl at the Hall. What are you expecting from him? Do you think he's going to come out wanting to start a fight with those guys, or what are you kind of expecting from Jackson King?
I hope so.
I don't. 2-on-1. That's what you're gonna get if you try to do that. But I think Jackson. I would imagine Jackson is gonna focus on something else. I know the last Brawl at the Hall, he tried to shake Matty's hand. Matty, it looked like he was going to embrace Jackson. And then TVP and Leo, they shut that whole thing down, and Jackson was kind of left there sitting and just wondering what if. And I'm sure Matty was in that same situation. But if I'm Jackson, I don't even worry about this. I kind of just focus on other things. And I've heard rumblings that he may be looking to pick a fight with the APW champion. I think that Jackson King wants to be top guy. He's in his hometown.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do something memorable, even bigger than you versus Matty, well, kid, here's another chance to do that. And could he call out Shank? I see that as a possibility. Like I said, I've heard rumblings about that. I've heard rumblings that he may speak about what happened to Matty, but otherwise, not really much. There's nothing much that I've heard. I know people sit there and say, "Isn't it your show? Aren't you one of the guys promoting this thing, producing this thing, saying, hey, who's going out? Who's able to get mic time? Who's it?" Yes, I am. But I like to confer with the talent before we do things that are off the wall.
Right.
I've talked to Jackson at minimum, and all he's told me is he's looking to make an impact on Saturday night in front of his family and friends yet again, in what will be a wild crowd yet again at Brawl at the Hall.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Jackson King has to say and what he does Saturday night. You mentioned this card has quite the potential on it. Being in that environment is just going to up the ante even more. Whole plethora of matches that are going to be high quality Saturday night. The one I want to start with is Gable Galileo versus Bryce Jordan. Those two, they have crossed paths on so many levels across the Iowa multiverses wrestling, like I like to call it. And every time they step in the ring together, it's going to be a good match, whether it's a tag or an individual singles match. Badger, what are your thoughts on Galileo and Bryce Jordan going one-on-one?
I freaking love it. I freaking love it. I hope we get to see more of it. But this weekend is perfect for our Brawl at the Hall, our sold-out show, because we can add another chapter to their very long rivalry, and dutifully so. Because talk about a contrast of styles that just so good for wrestling right now. Right. And we need that. We produce the best. At Absolute Pro Wrestling, you guys, we know how to make a card and make it sell.
Oh yeah.
I mean, good golly. I got Jackie over here just telling me I'm just chapping away. Thanks, babe. Thanks for your support.
She knows. She knows.
Yeah, we got some
He's
Gable
selling.
Galileo
He's
fans over
selling
here.
tickets. He's
Yeah.
selling tickets, Jackie.
We got Golden God fans in here too. So we're all excited. Everybody's excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to call the match. But yes, I mean, whether you love Bryce Jordan or hate him, whether you love Gable Galileo or hate him, this is going to be a match for the ages. I mean, let's be honest here.
Well, that's why earlier this week when I was talking about the show, I put, this has potential to be the show stealer with these two guys
Yeah.
being as good as they both are. It's going to be something that's going to get the crowd going for sure. Jason, another match that has show stealing potential is Jimmy Wild returning to APW.
Yeah, let's go.
Uriah had a heck of a performance trying to win the APW Openweight Championship against Alvin Falcone. So you can see his confidence is there. We all know how good Jimmy Wild is. This one's just going to be nonstop. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Jimmy Wild, this is his first match back with the Absolute Pro Wrestling. I'm trying to date it. I'm trying to think how long it's been.
It was. Didn't he have a title match against Matty Starr?
I think that was it, and that would have been 2023.
Yeah.
So he spent all of 24 out, and he and I had talked a little bit about it. We were we were having a couple brewskis at the Prairie Meadows, and I was sitting there and I'm like, a lot of people ask where the hell you've been, and I tell them it's not like you're in the heat car or nothing. I said, brother, you're killing it in Madhouse. I know life is busy. The last 2 years for us as a company, it's discovering talents. It's utilizing some of these newer guys. Your Aiden Perrins of the world, your Uriahs, Trent Hammer, God rest his soul.
Yes.
Alvin Falcone. It's utilizing some of these guys. Jackson Slater. All these guys that come in, and where do they plug in? They got to take somebody's spot away in the process. And unfortunately, when you plug in new guys, there's guys like Gable, there's guys like Jimmy. There's a few guys that we've plugged into these spots, and so you take these other guys out. This year, it's kind of like, okay, let's plug everybody in. Let's see who we can put against each other and make something happen. And I think Uriah and Jimmy is a damn good example of that. It's a damn good example of here's a guy who just got in with Uriah, who just came into our promotion here about a year and a half ago, and is a phenomenal athlete. Crushed it against Alvin. Even in a losing effort, you're still talking about him. You're still saying, "Oh my God, did you see what he did though?" You're not talking about, "Oh yeah, he got pinned and he got pinned for a 3 count after this one move." No, you're talking, he kicked some tail. He did a great job. So that's awesome. It tells you the kind of performer and the kind of human being that Uriah is. He's somebody who, hey, if this happens, we've had it a few times. We've had somebody who got hurt, somebody blows a knee out, whatever the case is. Hey, Uriah, it's not that you're second choice. Don't take any insult, brother. What would you think about coming in? And he goes, I am insulted. I'll still come in because I'm still going to kick some ass.
Yes, he will.
He handles it professionally. He does a phenomenal job. He's a great human being, very humble kid, very tough athlete. He's gone up against Bryce Jordan, Alvin Falcone, Ethan Everett. Like, he's gone up against all these people, and he's handled his business. And he got a win. He's added up a couple wins in APW. Obviously, fell short against Alvin, but I think pressure is on both guys. I think it does have show stealing potential.
Right.
I think that this match, I can break the news that this match is opening the show on Saturday night.
Whoa!
They're going to set the tone for this Saturday, and I think either which way, no matter who wins this matchup, you're going to be talking about it after the fact. And I think you're going to see a lot more Jimmy Wild. I think you're going to see a lot more Uriah Upton as well when it comes to Absolute Pro Wrestling.
Awesome. Another match on the card is the Battle of the AJs. We got the veteran AJ Smooth taking on the brash upstart AJ O'Callahan. How did this come together, Jason?
Well, we were sitting in the back.
One AJ against the other.
We were sitting in the back, and Jimmy Wild and I were having a couple brewskis at Prairie Meadows. It was, hey.
He was very insulted.
Chaperone's got 2 good songs, and one's probably better than the other. And AJ Smooth said, yeah, hot to go. And then, AJ O'Callahan's like, yeah, Pink Pony Club, and then they're like, no. Hot to Go, no. Pink Pony Club, and now they're like, we're gonna settle this in the ring.
There you go.
The battle of
Oh
the
boy.
chapels. It's not the battle of the AJs. It's the battle of the chaperone songs, and someone's either gonna be Hot to Go, or they're gonna be rearing to go to the Pink Pony Club once this is all said and done. You know, it's a veteran versus an up and coming guy. It's a guy who they're both from the area, so there's really no home field advantage for either or. I think that this is a very good chance. You know, AJ O'Callahan, he fell to Leo Santel and in our first Brawl at the Hall. I think this is an opportunity for AJ O'Callahan if he can beat AJ, who, by the way, AJ just got his first W
He did.
at the last Brawl. This is
Against
a chance
Mason
for
Grayskull.
This is a chance for AJ O'Callahan to, boop, take that all that little momentum, any kind of momentum that AJ thinks is going to build up, and take it away right away, and get that hometown win, feel good in front of his family and friends. And for AJ Smooth, hey, this is another chance to keep building your resume. Yeah, you're going against another guy who's young and up and coming. Some people say, AJ's too, not just a hat rack up there. He's too smart for this kid. He's not going to play the games. He's not going to buy into any of that stuff. He's a former heavyweight champion, former tag champion. His resume is well documented.
Right.
This is, I think AJ Smooth, even though he's facing someone with less experience, I think AJ, look, he didn't take Mason Grayskull for granted.
Right.
I don't think he's taking the doctor for granted either. I think he's looking at AJ O'Callahan saying, okay,
Nope.
I got one on the board I can get to, but I need to look at this guy not as number 2, but I need to look at him as a serious threat to me building an APW.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely going to be an interesting dynamic between those two. I know a match that you both are going to be having a major eye on is Cole Cannon versus Ricky Bronson. Lots of long-standing bad blood between these two. You see them going back and forth on social media quite a bit. They were both in line to clash for that openweight championship when it was just getting going, but then Bronson suffered his injury, something Cannon likes to rub in his face whenever he can.
Yes, he does.
What are your thoughts on this one? It's not going to be a wrestling match. These two are just going to fight.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you ask me, I'm not expecting any, technical holds or anything fancy schmancy from either. I'm expecting just a pure, unadulterated dog fight. So that's what I'm prepared for, and I'm assuming that's what we're going to get, just knowing both these guys. And I would, Ricky Bronson, if you're listening, look out, because Cole Cannon, he's going to try and eke one out on you. And God willing, that don't happen.
Well, Jason, I'm gonna kind of turn the question to you on this. With both of them coming into this, they little extra motivation. Ricky, he fell to AVB last time at the Brawl at the Hall in front of all of his friends and family and everything. They're all going to be there again, so he's determined to win and improve. Impress them. On the flip side, we all know how motivated Cole Cannon can be when he has the chance to spoil things for the sentimental crowd.
Enemy territory doesn't exist to that guy. I mean, it really doesn't.
No.
He's another guy. You look at guys like Matty Starr, TBP, veterans of the sport that, Aaron Von Buren too, like they go into enemy territory and it doesn't affect them. Their mind stays sharp. Their game plan stays the same. And I think Cole Cannon is kind of entering that territory where he can go to Waterloo. They can boo the hell out of him in the building. He eats a win out. He can go to Algona. As much as he hates doing so, he'll say it himself. And he'll say, I don't care. They can hate me here too. Going to Des Moines, he doesn't care that it's Ricky's hometown. Doesn't care. He doesn't. Okay, and he moves on from it. I think that Ricky's going to want to brawl with him. I think part of Ricky's, I don't want to say downfall right now, because unfortunately Ricky, since coming back, he's, I believe, 0-3. He hasn't won a match since coming back. He lost the Brawl. He lost in March to Dominic Zagreus, and then he lost recently again to Victor Payne at Super Slam. So it's like, for Ricky, I think he's in a desperate time, and I think if you're going to be desperate, going against Cole Cannon's not the guy to take any of that desperate energy or desperate vibes out against him. He's going to want to brawl with him. He's going to want to throw fisticuffs. And if Cole's smart, he's going to try and get away from that style and try and break that up early.
Yeah.
I think that the shoulder's still an issue. I think that's been on display the last couple of matches, and actually all matches. I think he tapped out the crossface. Dominic Zagreus took advantage of it, and then Victor Payne threw him shoulder first into the corner. So I think he's got a bullseye on him. That doesn't help the situation either. So it's a wild card of a match, which the unpredictability makes it fun for those watching, and for us who know these guys personally, it's kind of stressful because you want everybody to come out of it safe and sound. Even if it is Cole Cannon, you want these guys to go in and come out better than they went in, but they never do. But especially with Ricky, we're all very close with Ricky. I worry about how much longer that shoulder is going to hold up if these guys keep pinpointing it every single time. I worry about it. So I'm interested in seeing what he does to counteract Cole's, I guess, sneaky way of winning. I'm interested in seeing how he's able to overcome that and walk out with what will be his first win since coming back from that big injury.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Cannon, he thrives in enemy territory. He loves being in enemy territory, especially if we're going to Des Moines and he's going to be taking on Ricky Bronson in front of his home crowd. I wouldn't expect anything less from Cole Cannon than for him to get on a microphone, which I cringe every time they hand him a microphone. I physically cringe. And I would just see him just trying to get under Ricky Bronson's skin by targeting the people in the crowd and trying to get Ricky all fired up and ready to go, and then playing his mind games. And that's where Cole Cannon can get you in that web of his. I mean, yeah, we can all talk crap about Cole Cannon, but he's smarter than anybody gives him credit for. And that's coming from a guy like me, who just hates his guts.
He finds a way to get things done, and by nefarious means or however he does get the job done. The other match that's on the card is the open weight championship match between Alvin Falcone and Victor Payne. And these two know each other pretty well too. They had a series of matches at the end of 2024. How did Victor get put into this situation, Jason?
Well, we had a card subject to change, we had a card where originally it was Dominic Zagreus. We felt like Dominic had earned that spot. Dom's dealing with a little bit of an injury, nothing too serious, nothing that's going to put him on the shelf, but he's like, hey, I'm going to be out this weekend. Doc told me to take a little extended break for a few weeks, and then you say, okay, well, who's up next? And we felt like his effort in the sixth man in Algona, even though he beat the crap out of me in that match, we felt like Victor's presence in that match, the way he was in there, and his effort there, the win over Ricky was impressive. The way he dominated in that match, we said, okay, he's a former openweight champion. These guys have a past together.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, pull the trigger now. I think you could have easily gone and said, well, we'll add Alvin against Uriah and Jimmy, because Uriah had a great showing, and Jimmy, hey, he's a guy who can fight for any title anytime it feels like. But we could do that, or you could add him to Bryce versus Gale. You could do all these things, but it's like, who could he face 1-on-1 for the championship and make it make sense? And I think that Victor checks the boxes. I think that he is somebody who, as a former champion, he has what it takes to be champion. He has what it takes to take the title against whoever it may be. He was able to beat Aaron Von Buren. That was the last time. I don't think people realize that before Shank, the last guy that pinned Aaron Von Buren was Victor Payne. So that comes to account as well.
Fort Dodge Street Fight, wasn't it?
Yep, Fort Dodge Street Fight in April of 2023. Like, the fact that Victor Payne, that's to his credit, take what he did against Cole Cannon to win the championship, take what he did during that run, take what he did against TBP. Like, you take all these things into account, you say, okay, he fits the mold, he checks the boxes, it's going to be a great matchup. As much as we talk about Gable and Bryce and Jimmy and Uriah, I'll say it. When I called Victor, I said, hey, I know you probably have my number blocked, and this is why I'm calling on somebody else's phone. I said, but you're getting this championship match, and I said, just so you know, I believe in you. That's why I'm putting you in this matchup. But there's some people who don't believe in you as a threat to Alvin Falcone, even though you are vicious Victor Payne. Take with that information what you will,
Oh,
motivate yourself, and go kick some ass. And so that's why I think, as much as we ooh and ah about the other matchups on the card, I think this has the capability, top to bottom, every match that's
yeah.
on this show that's announced has the chance to be something you talk about for months to come. And I
Yes.
think every match could be like, well, Clint's got some decisions to make for the end of the year countdown, because
Woo.
every match could end up on the top 10, top 5. That's how damn good I think every match is that we have on the card. That's how I feel. I feel that that's going to be the case, and I think this is no different. Add in the fact that half of Alvin's family has already bought the whole venue. It feels like.
Nice.
I've talked with Alvin's mom. I was telling him about this. I said, I think I've talked to your mom more times in the last 4 weeks than I've ever talked to you in 2 years, talking, like, being boys with you. And he just started laughing. But Jan is very, very excited to see her son wrestle, and his whole family is excited to see him wrestle. And that match is going to be very, very special.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned all the matches on the card. And for the guys that competed at the first Brawl at the Hall, and then even some that were there watching, they felt that environment. You know, you get into certain environments when a show is going on that, just like you said earlier, raises it up a little. So knowing that we're going to be in that kind of environment again, everybody's going to be at the top of their game. This one, like you said as well, has just as much potential to steal the show as the other ones. With that said, for another segue here, Saturday, you want to talk a little bit about the open house you guys got planned?
Yeah, so with this open house, it's open to anybody who's over the age of 18. If you have parents' permission, 16, 17, we're going to allow. I know. There's one very upset kid who says, Dad, I never liked recording for those assholes anyways. Like, I know that his rate just went up. If you're a smart dad here, you go, Emmett, what you do is you say, hey, can't do that seminar. That's cool. Sounds like $90 more. You get the old paycheck-a-rooney there,
Right.
apprentice. You have that as an apprentice who knows a thing about stifling money out of people. And by that, I mean, thank you, Uncle Bert. I would just project that to the kiddo.
Okay.
Noted. Badger pointed up. I don't know if it's down, but the thing about it is open house is coming. My Aunt Marilyn's going to see that, and she's going to give me a phone call. It's going to be great. Open house is this Saturday, 3 p.m. 17, 16. Get your parents' permission. We're not going to go through all the bumps in that age because you want to take care of these guys. But 18 years old, come on in. You're going to sign a little waiver because you're going through the rigorous motions of wrestling. And then we start our first class the next day. So if you're like, hey, I want to do this, I want to be a professional wrestler, awesome. Come to Algona, Iowa. We're right at Floral Hall. That's the building that we're using for this endeavor. The Fair Board, tremendous people getting this deal done with us. So you come to Algona, it's a drive. And I talked to some of the kids. We had one kid that signed up off this class, and then there's 2 or 3 that are like, I got to save up money. But they're coming to the open house and like, I may have found that money. We get it. It's a big commitment. But a part of that commitment, besides the financial side, is the time. Taking the time to drive to shows, it's going to happen. So if you can't take the time to even come train because, it's 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. Listen, I'm going to shoot straight here. I don't care if you're going to Marshalltown, Monroe, Iowa, Davenport, Iowa, the Academy in Wisconsin, River City's Academy, shout out to Alex Riley. I don't care where you go. You're going to have to travel some distance. If you scuff at any of those, those places, if you scuff at any place saying, it's the travel, you're not going to make it in this world. And that's okay. That's fine. It may not be for you. But this is a commitment financially. This is a commitment time-wise. Financially for us, $2,000. Part of that is your tuition for the school, which is $750 up front, but also you get the nutrition monthly through the whole school. You get that weightlifting program through Noah or through Luke. There's tons of Arrowwoods. Okay, I know every single one of them. I'm going to start mentioning Sonata for all I know. But literally, you get all the nutritional and weightlifting stuff from Luke. You get TS's guide, his guide to stuff. You get Maddie's mind and all his guides to stuff. It's worth the money. It's worth the price of admission. $750 up front, and then the remaining balance is paid off over time until your 2K is paid. And then 16 weeks overall. You're not a professional wrestler just like that after 16 weeks. It takes time, but you're going to know what to do at the end of 16 weeks. And after that, whatever comes next, whether it's you're working for us, whether it's working down the road, whether it's working for another promoter in a different state, where, hey, maybe you get on TV off of this. Who knows? Whatever happens is we want to make you the best you can be as a human being, as a professional in this business as well. We look forward to doing that here with the Apex.
Nice, very nice. Hope for a good turnout for that. Badger, what are your final words before we head into the Brawl at the Hall number 2?
Well, I tell you what, man, I'm all fired up after that speech. Shit, I might show up at the absolute Apex and get back in there, man. But, as it comes to the Brawl of the Hall 2, man, I mean, this business, it's all about making moments, making memories, and we're going to make a crap ton of those this weekend. So I'm excited. You're excited. You guys excited? Yeah. So I'm ready to go, man. Upwards and onwards. Let's go.
Boss man, what do you have to say about Saturday coming up?
I know that we had a couple tickets open up that we'll sell at the door. They're already paid for, so technically we have a sold out show. As far as our reserves are concerned, listen, last time we had a lot of people, standing room only. It's a lot of fun. But we know we had people say, hey, we need more space. We'll get more space this fall when we go back, and check our Facebook to see those dates when we do go back. We'll have more space in the next one. We're going to try and do our best to work and accommodate people on this show. I know we're going to have a different setup for like Badger and Tom. We're going to have them in a closed circuit area where they have plenty of room to do their thing, but also they're not taking away seats from people out there. So they're going to be taken care of and kind of getting the high-end treatment just as much as the fans are going to get the high-end treatment.
All right.
Really looking forward to that. And then some of our production that we implemented at the Super Bowl, we're going to bring that into Des Moines too. So I'm really excited about that. There's so many different nuances that we are unleashing at the Brawl at the Hall that I'm really excited about. But the biggest thing is making sure that all those fans that come in, whether it's 200 plus, whether it's 300 plus, maybe it's just 80. Who knows? Maybe these people out there season ain't coming because Shane Gillis is playing down the road. He has the Des Moines Con, and he got an MMA show. There's a lot going on the day we have our show. But
we're not moving the date because an MMA show's in Des Moines. I had to throw it in there.
Emmett, what I'm going to teach you is that I would have given you the bonus, but your dad took that knife and he just wedged it. And I could hear my uncle yelling up at me, I always never liked that Clink guy. And I said, no, I agree, Uncle. Funny, like Shane Gillis. I like it. Yeah.
Had to throw it in there. Get a little laugh at you.
Piece of shit. But this weekend, listen, regardless of if you're going into those shows, hey, you go to our show. We appreciate everybody that's a ticket buying fan, and we hope that you have fun. Hope you boo loud, cheer loud, bring your signs, boo the crap out of Cole Cannon, let him know he's not welcome in Des Moines. I think that'd be hilarious.
I will.
I know you will. You'll be in a closed circuit, and you'll still come out from behind the curtain and be like,
you piece of crap.
All right, guys. Well, as always, enjoy chatting with you guys. We'll see you ringside. See you Saturday night.